So far, when we've done food labs at the beginning of the year in foods and nutrition, we have only lightly filled out a food lab planning form. For the upcoming labs and the rest of the labs, we are going to be completely filling out the lab planning form with more detail so that you really understand why we are doing these labs. So, the food lab planning form, you're always going to put what is the recipe name? What recipe are you and your group making? What is the date of the lab? What is your block and lab number? And who is your main kitchen manager or executive chef of the day? This is the person that is responsible for filling out this form and who is responsible for making sure that this is turned into the lab planning folder. For every lab, you have a learner outcome. Essentially, this means why are we doing this lab? What is the purpose of this lab? When it comes to the duties of the lab, they are outlined below. I'll pull them up. So essentially, your executive chef and your lab manager, they should be responsible for making sure that the planning sheets are filled out and turned in, that everything is mise en place before and during the cooking process. They get everything out. They make sure that the lab is ready for checkout. And they also make sure that other members have performed their task. When it comes to checkout time, if everybody else has not done what they need to do, then the executive chef or the lab manager is responsible for doing it. Also, pay attention. Does your class turn off the oven or the stove? When it comes to the oven, some classes leave them on for the future class and some classes turn them off. If you are in fourth block, it's your responsibility to turn it off. If you are in first, second, or third block, you might be leaving them on. The sous chef is going to be measuring and prepping ingredients. They assist the executive chef. They assist the dishwasher by drying and putting the dishes away. And they also help with the cooking. If knives are used, they make sure that the knives are turned back in and they sweep the floor at the end. The dishwasher makes sure that before any cooking happens, that everything is sanitized and wiped down. All of the dishes are clean, dry, and put away. They also might assist with cooking depending on how many tasks there are for that particular lab. They also make sure that the sink is free of food and that the sink is dried and wiped out and also behind the faucet before they leave. All of the laundry goes in the bin by the commercial stove. The prep table, counters, and appliances are wiped off at the end. If you have used the stand mixer or if the stand mixer is by your stove, make sure that gets wiped down. If you have a refrigerator in your area, make sure that nothing is spilled in there. Maybe give the handles a nice sanitizing wipe down. If you have a microwave in your station, then that needs to be open and cleaned for checkout as well. So up to now, when it comes to mise en place on the lab planning form, we've not really filled this out in detail. What the mise en place means, as you've been learning in this chapter, is it means to take care or organize things in cooking to stay mentally and physically prepared. So on your lab planning sheet on the front for ingredients, you need to check to see, are there any ingredients that need to be mise en place? Is there anything that needs to be prepped or prepared beforehand? For example, we completed the 7-Up Easy Biscuits using baking mix. In these directions, other than measuring, there isn't anything that needs to be prepared except for maybe melting butter. So you need about a fourth of a cup, a quarter of a stick of melted butter. For the upcoming lab, the chicken Alfredo lab, when you look at the ingredients, the chicken breast needs to be diced. The onion, if using, needs to be diced. If you're using fresh garlic, that needs to be minced. You can also look at your instructions and see that your pasta needs to be cooked beforehand. So over here on your lab planning sheet, you would be adding directions such as dice the chicken or mince the garlic or dice the onions. For the cookware mise en place, This would be found in your instructions. Does anything need to be preheated? For your 7-Up directions, you need to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. For your chicken Alfredo instructions, you would need to scroll down here. So your pan needs to be preheated for the chicken. Your water needs to be boiling for your pasta. And if you're going to do the garlic bread, then you would need to turn your broiler on so that that is hot and ready to go. So on the food line planning sheet, the beginning of it for ingredients and cookware, this means what do I need to prepare first? What do I need to get hot? What do I need to dice up before the cooking actually happens? So this is just a little note to yourself on what needs to happen first so that you're not ready to, say, put your food into the oven and the oven is cold, so that everything is hot and fresh and ready to go. So that is how you correctly fill out the Food Lab blank form on the